I know a lot of people will talk about Nafisa not playing, but I think they're really good without her. You know, they're just a really great basketball team. So I think it was a big win for us because they set the bar high standard wise. We know what to expect when it comes to Minnesota Lynx, and so I think going into the playoffs, it was big for us because being able to know guarding Courtney Williams, knowing that her thing is a pull-up, knowing that now instead of not knowing that, it's big for us because we give ourselves a chance. And if they are the standard, we get to see where we are.
How does a team missing 5 of its key players not just compete, but dominate against the best in the league? This isn't a rhetorical question. It's exactly what the Indiana Fever have accomplished in one of the most shocking turnarounds the WNBA has ever witnessed. Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, Chloe Bibby, and Aari McDonald were all sidelined. That's 5 rotation players, including the face of the league herself. For most teams, losing that much talent, especially heading into the critical final stretch of the season. Yet against all logic and expectation, the Fever did the impossible. They strung together 3 straight victories against elite competition, capped by a statement win over the Minnesota Lynx that wasn't just lucky, it was dominant.
Here comes Sims, pedaling into the paint, leaning and hitting a 10-0 run to start this game for Indiana, and Minnesota wants a timeout. Caitlin Clark knows it.
This isn't a story about survival. It's about a team discovering its identity in the most unlikely circumstances, and in the process, revealing they might be something much more dangerous than anyone anticipated. Genuine contenders. What was said in that locker room after the game has teammates buzzing, and it might just be the key to understanding how this franchise is rewriting its story in real time. If you think you know what this Fever team is about, think again. Just weeks ago, the Indiana Fever season appeared to be unraveling at the seams. The team had dropped for its last 5 games, and their playoff dreams were hanging by a thread. The loss of Caitlin Clark to a right groin injury was the most devastating blow in a series of setbacks that had fans and analysts writing the team's obituary.
One of the things that I've been impressed with these guys since even the offseason, really the ones that I was able to work out with in the offseason, is how hard they work. There's a work ethic and there's a work style, and to approach everything in the same way, to be so energetic, enthusiastic, and dedicated every day. And I felt that way in training camp too. There weren't any days where I had to bring that out of them. So I think it's the nature of the women that we've brought into this organization to continue to just bust their butts and play hard.
The question wasn't whether they could make a deep playoff run. It was whether they'd even have enough healthy bodies to finish the season competitively. The mood was bleak, and that familiar feeling of disappointment that had plagued the franchise for years began to creep back in. This wasn't how the story was supposed to go. After the excitement of building what many consider one of the deadliest backcourts in the league with Mitchell and Clark, the season had become a brutal exercise in frustration and what-ifs. The expansion Golden State Valkyries were surging, and the Fever's position in the standings felt increasingly precarious. Most teams would have folded. Most teams would have accepted their fate and started looking toward next year. But as we'd soon discover, this Indiana Fever squad isn't like most teams. They were about to reveal a toughness that nobody saw coming.
You're done with the MVP, okay? Bow, bow, bow! Hell yeah. You already know what it is. Dubs in the chat, you already know what it is. You already know what it is. Let's go to the playoffs with some momentum, baby.
Least of all their opponents. When faced with impossible circumstances, head coach Stephanie White offered a simple but powerful mantra: be where your feet are. This wasn't just a catchy phrase. It became the foundational principle for a complete team reinvention. The instruction was clear and transformative. It forced every player to stop focusing on who wasn't in the lineup and instead maximize the potential of who was.
It's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up. And, these are things that you have to go through. I often say there's no substitute for experience, and the experience that these guys have had to have to continue to reinvent, to have to continue to find different ways to get back up, and to play through some different struggles is not just paying us dividends this season, but as far as what it's doing for our culture, it's going to pay dividends for many years.
This mindset shift allowed the Fever to develop a new identity built not on star power, but on collective resilience and tactical versatility. The proof was in their stunning performance against the Lynx. Indiana didn't just sneak out a win. They stormed out to a commanding 10-0 run to start the game, setting a tempo that left Minnesota scrambling for answers. This was a team that wasn't just trying to survive. They were dictating terms to the league's best. The Fever's reinvention manifested in several key ways. Defensively, they became swarming and communicative, with players switching assignments seamlessly and helping each other without hesitation. Offensively, they moved away from relying on isolation plays and instead embraced a system of constant motion, player movement, and shared responsibility.
8 teams have ever done that. 7 of them went on to win the title. As Boston gets free and lays it in.
She will be on my first team.
Boston in the paint, sneaks through 2 and lays it in.
Every player on the court became a threat, and every player bought into the idea that their best chance to win came from competing harder than the opponent on every single possession. It wasn't always pretty, but it was relentless, and that relentless energy became their new trademark. With Caitlin Clark sidelined, the biggest question was who would step up to fill the enormous void left by the scoring phenom. The answer came in the form of a player having not just a career year, but a historic one. Kelsey Mitchell isn't just having another good season. She's putting together the best scoring season in Indiana Fever history.
I love you!
For the first time ever, the franchise has a player averaging over 20 points per game across a season, with Mitchell pouring in approximately 20.5 points per game. That's not just a statistic, it's a rewriting of the record books for a team that hasn't had this kind of offensive firepower in nearly a decade. But what's more impressive is how she's achieving these numbers, with defenses designed specifically to stop her, facing double teams and traps on every possession. Mitchell has shown incredible maturity and growth in her game. She's learned when to shoot, when to move the ball, and when to calm the offense down. She's demanding the ball when Indiana needs a basket, but also trusting her teammates to deliver in crucial moments.
You know, kind of all the other things like offensive rebounding that she can do.
Knocked away. Boston comes up with a steal. Here is Mitchell veering through the paint and lays it in.
She's so quick, and especially when she gets out in the open floor, you'll see her coming down. The quick left to right crossover just gets by. I thought she was sprinting. I didn't think she was lumbering.
It was a lumber sprint.
Up for the big girl.
Mitchell like a blur.
This balance between attack and trust has become infectious, empowering role players to step into bigger moments with confidence. The organization has taken notice, actively pushing an MVP campaign for Mitchell, and honestly, she belongs in that conversation. She's not only leading her team into the playoffs, she cemented herself as the undeniable face of the franchise during its most pivotal moments. While Kelsey Mitchell's brilliance provided the foundation, the Fever's incredible run was fueled by previously unsung heroes who seized their moment in the spotlight. The win against Minnesota was a masterclass in team basketball, with 5 players finishing in double figures, a statistic that perfectly illustrates a collective effort that has defined this stretch of games.
Here's Boston off the steal, coast to coast, and in for 2. Here comes Sims. A little hop. She took it inside the arc. Boston able to finish. Looked like she was getting hugged, but was persistent.
Aaliyah Boston transformed from a paint anchor into a complete offensive threat, running the offense from the post like a guard in the center's body, while simultaneously tying her own rebounding records. Her presence in the block forced double teams that opened lanes for shooters, creating opportunities for everyone else on the floor. Then there was Odyssey Sims, who came off the bench to drop 15 points while providing steady leadership and possession management.
Turner finds the cutter. Sims using the window on a really nice pass.
After the game, she called it a fresh start, capturing exactly how this team has approached their new reality. Perhaps the most dramatic momentum shift came from Aerial Powers, who hit back-to-back three-pointers that silenced the Lynx's attempted comeback and essentially sealed the game. These shots didn't just count on the scoreboard. They symbolize a confidence that permeates this roster with players who don't hesitate when their moment arrives.
In her 8th game with the Fever, in their ever-expanding roster because of their injuries, Williams went for the steal. Powers sticks the jumper from 3.
That was the clear side of the floor, and Atisha Heidemann read the defense beautifully.
Howard, good position on the interior. Draws 2, kicks it out. Powers, you bet! Back-to-back 3s from Aerial Powers. Caitlin Clark, euphoric on the bench.
Lexi Ho proved indispensable with her defensive versatility, switching onto multiple positions and contesting shots against bigger forwards, while Natasha Howard provided crucial front-court balance with her efficient scoring and rebounding. What made this performance so remarkable was that it wasn't unexpected within the team. It was a culmination of a mindset that everyone had something to contribute if given the opportunity.
Draws 2 defenders, races away. Ho steps inside and flips it in. Really patient. Odyssey Sims with 13, Kelsey Mitchell with 12, Jessica Shepard with 12, Alana Smith with 11. Here's Hull, another.
Kelsey Mitchell.
The most telling moment of this entire incredible stretch didn't happen on the court during the game. It happened afterward, in the locker room, when the emotions were raw and the significance of what they had accomplished was beginning to sink in. As veterans and rookies alike celebrated their hard-fought victory, Kelsey Mitchell addressed her teammates with a simple but powerful statement. "You've seen our growth." These 4 words struck a chord that resonated through the entire organization because they weren't about individual accomplishment. They were about collective evolution. They captured the essence of a team that was written off repeatedly, but never stopped learning how to play together and refused to crumble no matter who was missing from a lineup. This sentiment echoes Mitchell's earlier stance during a difficult stretch in July, which he declared the team had no more room for error. That urgency has now transformed into proven capability.
See, how much pride do you take in the fact that you started in every game now for 2 straight years, and on top of that, you're now the points per game leader in franchise history?
Man, I don't want to sound cliche, but I'm never gonna give up. I'm never gonna. If I'm able, willingly, 2 feet, 2 legs, 2 arms to play the game, because a lot of people can't, I'm gonna play. It may not, fall my way all the time, but you never have to worry about me not being present, especially if I don't have anywhere else to be. So that's just what that is. I'm never gonna not play and compete. You're never not gonna see me sit out if I don't need to. And so it's just about staying. I've obviously having rhythm and being who I want to be, but I'm all about basketball when it comes to just finishing it out.
Mitchell's words crystallize what makes this season different for Indiana. This team isn't just surviving the chaos of injuries and doubt. They're turning adversity into proof that they're building into legitimate contenders. Her leadership voice has become the one reminding everyone of exactly how far they've come, from a team that couldn't find consistency to one that creates its own momentum through shared purpose and belief. In many ways, that locker room moment symbolized a complete transformation of the Fever's culture, one that might have seemed impossible just a few short weeks ago.
Up on that, Odyssey, you've played against Kelsey a lot, but now that you're her teammate, what stands out to you about her scoring and the way she goes about working on things like that?
Bucket, instant offense, try your best to keep her in front. Trap, that doesn't work. Hard heads doesn't work. You just gotta play as hard as you can just to really keep her in front of you. Seriously. I mean, a lot of people say, it's a fact, but you ask who's one of the toughest guards, who's one of the hardest guards to guard. She's definitely number 1.
I appreciate that.
What happens when a team built to succeed years from now suddenly looks ready to win right now? That's the paradigm-shifting reality the Indiana Fever are forcing upon the WNBA landscape. Their first winning record since 2015 isn't just a nice milestone. It's a preview of what might be coming much sooner than anyone anticipated. The Fever aren't just sneaking into the playoffs. They're arriving with momentum, confidence, and a style of play that translates to postseason success.
Tonight for Indiana, but then Colson gives it right back, and Howard cashes in.
To perform like this, but they have 5 different players almost at all times who can bring the ball up the floor. Usually 4 or 5 who are adept at making shots from deep. I mean, you just saw a big there creating her own look as well from Natasha Howard. Career high in terms of her field goal percentage, and you see her here, the little spin to the middle. That's a tough.
While most teams in their situation would consider making the playoffs an accomplishment enough, this Fever squad isn't showing any signs of satisfaction. They're treating this stretch as the opening chapters of something much bigger, building a foundation that could support a championship window sooner than anyone predicted. The development of their role players during this injury crisis means that when Clark, Cunningham, and others return, they won't be rejoining the same team they left. They'll be stepping into a roster with proven playoff experience, developed chemistry, and unshakable belief in their system. Coach Stephanie White's standard over scoreboard mindset has fundamentally shifted how this team measures itself.
These last 3 games were pretty high-stakes games with playoffs on the line and whatnot. How much confidence does that give you going into the actual playoffs now?
I think it gives us a lot of confidence, knowing that we can meet the moment at times. I think that when we get a chance to sort of reflect back, it's how do we meet the moment in every game, as opposed to the ones where your back's against the wall. But every game is a back against the wall game now.
It's no longer about just winning games, but about playing to their capability level regardless of opponent. A philosophy that translates perfectly to playoff basketball, where execution matters more than reputation. The rookies and fill-in starters who have been forced into major minutes are gaining invaluable experience that deepens the entire roster. Every injury, every lineup shuffle, and every gut check win has been preparing Indiana for something beyond the season. They're building what looks increasingly like a foundation of a dynasty in the making. The Indiana Fever's remarkable 3-game winning streak against elite competition, despite missing 5 key players, represents more than just a surprising stretch of basketball. It signals the arrival of a new era for this once struggling franchise. What began as a season of promise, then transformed into a nightmare of injuries, has emerged as something nobody predicted: the emergence of a genuine contender built on depth, resilience, and collective belief. Kelsey Mitchell's record-breaking season has rewritten the Fever history books, while her leadership has set a new standard for what it means to wear the Indiana uniform. The supporting cast of Boston, Sims, Powers, Hull, and Howard, have proven they're not just role players. They're impact players capable of swinging games against the league's best. And perhaps most importantly, the culture installed by Coach Stephanie White has created an environment where next man up isn't just a cliche, but a reality that players embrace and excel within. As the playoffs approach, the Fever aren't just happy to be there. They're arriving with the confidence, system, and momentum to upset the established order. When Caitlin Clark returns next season, she won't be rejoining the same team she left. She'll be stepping into a proven playoff roster with championship aspirations. The Fever have faced injuries, doubt, and tough losses, yet transformed all of it into their most successful season in a decade. Now comes a moment for them to prove this isn't a fluke, but the beginning of something special. If this story of resilience inspires you, let us know in the comments. Share your favorite moment from this incredible Fever season. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our coverage of Indiana's playoff journey. The Fever aren't just back, they're here to stay.